Do you like the Dreamcast? I love the Dreamcast, and that's why I am on a mission to complete every game on the system. There are almost 300 English language releases, and I want you to join me on my adventure to completing them all. Last week we took a look at the legendary arcade game Silent Scope. This week, episode 19, Shin Seiki Evangelion Advance. Evangelion, I can't even speak. No, we haven't done this one before. This is the sequel to Shin Seiki Evangelion Typing Ikekaku, which we looked at a few episodes back. Usually the games are chosen at random, but since I had so much technical troubles trying to get these specific games to work, I thought, well, while the original's working, I might as well do this one at the same time, rather than risk, trying next year and it not working again. So I'll strike while the iron is hot. And with the use of the word advance in the title, you can pretty much guess that this has more advanced lessons, at least for the millennium when most people hadn't even touched a keyboard. So yeah, it's actually quite similar but more enjoyable for one very good reason, and less enjoyable for another reason, but I'll get to that soon because I should quickly repeat the fact that this is the fan translation that was headed up by Derek Pascarella and his team. They have done and are currently doing tons of translating work on Japanese exclusive Dreamcast games. I'll pop his website down below so you can check it out. Personally, I think they are doing God's work. In fact, they're better than God because they've got their priorities straight. You can see the layout is a bit different this time around, but there are still 6 open lessons and 1 final lesson that is locked. Let's quickly go through them, this won't take long. Lesson 1 is Synchronometer. As per usual, the visual presentation makes it seem more grand than it actually is. On the bottom left, you'll see the word that you need to type with a red bar slowly covering it. That's essentially your time limit. Type it before all the word is read. Again, like the first game, it has some strange quirk of some of the letters being bundled together into one input. So if you have to delete something, there is a chance that you might end up deleting 2 letters with one press of the backspace key. It is mildly annoying and still tripped me up even though I've just played the first one. However, I was on the lookout for it by this point, so yeah, it wasn't as troublesome. There are 3 levels to this lesson, and it's all pretty easy. Lesson 2, an interesting take. Same stuff, of course, but I appreciate the presentation. You can see enemies swooping down, and 2 correct word inputs will destroy them. So it feels like they have like health bars, kind of like a fighting game, and you have one too. I think you can take like 3 hits before you lose, but obviously there wasn't much risk of that. I'm not a great typer, but I'm not terrible either. It's cool seeing the moves and the animation, but once again, the word bank is remarkably similar to the first game. Hoagi, what is that all about? Palisade, I don't know what that means. Lesson 3 has you making bento boxes, which I think are just packed lunches for middle-class people. I had a ham and cheese sandwich, a packet of crisps, and a Mars bar for my lunch every day of my life for about 16 years. I knew my place in society. This has cute animation, but the music is a little bit abrasive. I like the 3rd stage because it changes visually like completely. You're now a bloke picking watermelons and there's a penguin going apeshit smashing them to oblivion. It's fun. Who knew you could be a hard-boiled watermelon farmer? Lesson 4 is loving you. Lesson 4 is loving you. I guess this is one for fans of the show because each stage has a girl from the show, and the more you type correctly, the more they fall in love with you. Each tier has its own sprite and animation, which shows them getting more and more flustered with you. I generally have the same experience, but instead of love, it's anger. I've got a talent for that. It's good, but I think fans would be begging for more. Like 3, that just seems meager. Lesson 5 is Karaoke, a Japanese classic, but here we have an issue. Well, for those observant types, we may have seen it already in a couple of stages, but Lesson 5 is when it becomes a big problem, because it's even worse. The letters aren't complete. In Lesson 5, a good chunk of the top is missing, which is bad when you get words with a T in it. Sure, you could probably automatically know it's a T, but when you're just typing what you're seeing, you're not really consciously aware of the word, just the letters you're seeing. So T looks like an I, for example. And even when you're aware of that, if you see an I, you might think, is that a T? I mean, look at litigate. What's that all about? Again, I don't have a Japanese dude on standby to answer these vital questions. But either it's an issue with inserting Western characters into the code of a Japanese game, or the game is like this anyways, and it's there to add extra challenge. I even failed the 3rd and final stage of this because it was messing with my brain. I had to do it a 2nd time. Lesson 6 is called A Hopeful Mission. It's boring in gameplay and presentation. You just write as many words as you can in a certain amount of time. It's actually based more on the number of characters you type rather than words though. I'll just skip this part because, it's kind of boring. But now we've finished all the main lessons, level 7 is unlocked, and it's similar to the final lesson of the first game. is called Snapshot. There are 3 levels, each with 3 CGs to uncover by just typing words. You can do the math. This is my favorite aspect of the game, seeing CGs of characters I know nothing about, but it's great. Again, the presentation, there is an issue with the words. Instead of the top half being cut off, now it's the bottom half. Thankfully, having played these games quite a lot by this point, I pretty much know the word bank by heart, and even my brain can just, tell what it is without even thinking a whole lot about it. But that double delete feature still annoyed me. You can't see half the word and you end up deleting more than you anticipate. It makes it more challenging than it needed to be, but I guess it did need that challenge because, let's face it, no one needs this game in 2023. So even if the added challenge is unintentional, it probably makes it more interesting, even if quite confusing and makes my brain hurt. And that's it, 9 CGs unlocked and the game is complete. So what do I think about it? Well, it's mostly better than the original, almost entirely down to the fact that the first lesson doesn't exist. That monotonous one in the original was hard to bear. So in that regard, I'd give it a 5 in terms of fun. I'd give the same for presentation. It's not that much different or like an improvement over the original. And for difficulty, it's pretty easy, but definitely a bit more difficult than the original. A 3 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and thanks to my Patreon supporters for supporting me. They can watch the next episode early, right now. They can watch it right now, and the next episode is NFL 2K. Not just one, but a 3-in-1 video. Yeah, I'm saving everyone's sanity with that one. I don't know anything about American football, so expect something rather amusing in the commentary from a total idiot. Go watch it right now over there. The link is in the description. A special thank you to my Patreon supporters, my super producers: Alexander Cato, Brent McLean, FF14 Best RPG, Vey, Sven Nowlertz, Wixit, Josh Foote, and Germonic.